I was born in northeastern New Jersey, outside the Meadowlands. My parents were 20 years old and they had 3 kids. So my parents were pretty busy working at the time, so there wasn't much organized sports at the time. In the middle of junior high, 7th grade, we moved to northwestern New Jersey to Lake Hopatcong. I went to a new school in the middle of the school year, and one of my health and phys ed teachers introduced me to wrestling. And that's where it was in 8th grade when I started to wrestle, and I couldn't believe that I was allowed to fight and I wasn't going to get into trouble. So that was my introduction to wrestling. My goal, obviously, in high school was to become a state champ, and it took me 4 years to get a trip to the States. And I wasn't a state champ, but I made it to the States. I was fortunate enough to be recruited at East Stroudsburg State College at the time. It's East Stroudsburg University. I was a 2-time All-American at East Stroudsburg. My senior year, we went Division I, and I went to the Easterns, and I won the Easterns. I qualified for the Nationals out of the Division II by being a finalist, and I qualified by winning the Easterns my senior year. I started coaching at East Stroudsburg in the late 70s, and I stayed there. We were Division I at the time, and I coached there for 20 years. I was always intrigued with the rules as a high school wrestler. I always wanted to know what the rules were. I wanted to officiate the matches when we practiced in the room. And when I was in college, I would go and, when I had time, referee JV high school matches for a little extra money. That was my introduction to officiating. My college officiating career started at the Division III level, which I think I did 3 or 4 years at the Division III level. Then had the opportunity to go and officiate where I was coaching in the EIWA, and got ranked out pretty high. The next year I was an alternate to go to the national tournament. The following year I was selected to go to the national tournament. It was in 1999 was my first Division I tournament at Penn State University. When you go to the nationals, your goal is to survive. You want to be what they call a keeper. You want to go to the Division I's and you want to get invited back. I remember the first year that I walked up. There's 20 guys that go to the nationals, and 10 of them get selected to blow the whistle, and 10 are assistants. I remember walking up on that platform for the first time and going, wow, I'm glad I'm not blowing the whistle. I was so scared. I stood up on that platform with one of the great officials, Kenny Mara, who was a great guy, and glad I didn't have a whistle. Then it didn't take long before I wanted a whistle. But going up on that stage for the finals was 10 times harder than doing that tournament. The tournament is great wrestling, but there's 8 matches, a lot. When you walk up on that platform by yourself with the whistle, with all that, these great athletes up there, that's a whole different level than doing the tournament. So, and that's what, that was my goal, to get there, and I finally did, and I was fortunate enough to stay there for 12 times. I got to call the finals. I watched Jaden Cox win the Nationals as a freshman. The next year in the semifinals, I had Jaden Cox wrestling Kyle Snyder in the semis, and Kyle Snyder was a freshman, and he beats Jaden Cox in the semifinals. And then I coincidentally had Snyder in the finals when he gets caught and pinned. The next year, I have Jaden Cox come back and win the Nationals in his senior year against McIntosh. And these guys are incredible athletes, which obviously they go on to the Olympics and Worlds and get medals. So watching those guys and being on the mat with them, that was special for me. So I had Mike McCormick that I became very close with. I had Fred Ambrose. I had Mike Allen, Chuck Yagla. Pat Fitzgerald and I worked together for years, became good friends. Kenny Ritchie, Mike Haggerty. These guys, I worked with 10 Hall of Fame officials, and that's how you learn. You go work with the best.
He always seems to do what's right. I think the most important thing about Gary is that he has the respect of the guys he works with as well as the coaches.
He's a tremendous official. He obviously is a great teacher, and I think that by being a teacher, he also is able to use those skills out on the mat. He demonstrates great work with the coaches, always keeps things under control. You never see things get too out of control with Gary on the mat. You know it's going to be a great called match.
Well, to be a good official, I think you have to have a short memory and thick skin. It's a unique sport where you put your heart and soul into it, and I appreciate that the coaches fight for the kids. because I guess I coached at that level, and when I was young, I fought like crazy for every call for my kids. And when it was over, it was over. So I try to pass that on to the young officials that, listen, get focused in on the match. Don't take your eyes off the match. Don't listen to what anybody's saying, and just do the best job you can. I was fortunate that my wife and father-in-law were there for me, and my father-in-law would travel with me to all the events and keep me in line and critique me on the way home. So I had that support, and that's important on those long journeys for wrestling. I am extremely humbled. I would never imagine that I would be in this situation with the people that I'm going in with. Yeah. So for me, this is very, very special, and I'm having trouble realizing that it's reality.